Hey you! Yes, you. Welcome to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. A podcast for people who want to disrupt their lives for a good reason, to make it count. I'm your host, Jen Glantz, and every week I'll drop a new episode with stories from real people just like you, who woke up one morning and decided to make big changes, starting with small things. We'll cover topics like entrepreneurship, love, failure, and self-care. Hey, you're not getting any younger, so let's make this an adventure. Ready? Today's podcast is brought to you by Thinkific. Thinkific is the #1 platform to create, market, and sell your own online courses or membership sites. They have revolutionized how individuals earn and learn online by building an all-in-one platform designed for both course creators and their audience. Try Thinkific for free today at try.thinkific.com/JenGlantz. That's try.thinkific.com/JenGlantz. You are going to love it. Hey, any youngers. It's me, your host, Jen Glantz, back with another episode of the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. It's sunny outside, which is a huge deal in New York City in February because it's so cold here. It's so dark and gloomy here that when it's sunny out, you just feel all kinds of good. I'm finding many excuses today to get out of this apartment and just go outside. Honestly, if I could take this microphone and go outside, I would, but I don't know if you'd want to listen to a podcast with all of the background noise of New York City. New York City is truly known for its sights and its smells, and that's just not something that I want to bring to the show today. But today, I want to talk about an awkward topic, and this might be a topic that you have experienced, and I hope you'll let me know if you have and how you handled it. Feel free to send me an email, jenglantz@gmail.com, or a DM on Instagram @jenglantz, or even better, why don't you leave a review of this podcast and answer this question in that review. What do you do when you run into somebody randomly and unexpectedly that you haven't seen in so long? Now, this has happened to everybody, right? You're somewhere, you're not looking your best, you're looking like a sweaty mess, and you run into someone, and they strike up a conversation, and you feel awkward and weird, and you don't really know how to end the conversation. But that whole experience just makes your stomach tingle and your anxiety rise. So what do you do? Well, here's something that happened to me. When I was back home visiting my parents in January for 2.5 weeks, I was out one day in our neighborhood walking my dog Goofy when all of a sudden, right in front of me, I saw this person who I haven't seen in probably 16 or 17 years. We were friends because we worked at a summer camp together, and we hung out through that little summer camp crew, and we became Facebook friends. And throughout college, I ran into her here and there. But we haven't maintained a friendship, and frankly, we never really had a friendship. But all of a sudden, walking toward me after 16 plus years, I see her. And I think to myself, oh my goodness, how do I hide? We're sharing a sidewalk. The only way out is for me to jump into the bush, which she would obviously see, and I just don't need that for my personal brand right now. Or pray that she doesn't see me, or pray that she sees me and she just keeps walking by. And I'm standing there panicked. I'm turning bright red because I don't look very good and I don't really even know what to say, and it's just going to be so awkward. Meanwhile, she's also carrying a baby. I'm walking a dog. It just was going to be a conversation that I just didn't feel like I had to have. Lucky for me, as she's walking toward me, she's with a friend, by the way, and the friend's like, oh my God, it's cold. Let's turn back. So I think she sees me, we make eye contact, and all of a sudden they turn around and walk the other way. And I just feel this gigantic sense of relief because honestly, it was a conversation I didn't want to have. It was going to be awkward. And sometimes when you're in environments, you just don't want to run into people. You know, like there's times when I want to run into people. I want to run into them at social events, or I want to run into them in places where I feel confident and amazing. I don't want to run into them in the pajamas I used to wear back in the day that are still at my parents' house that I'm wearing again right now on this day when I ran into this person. So I dodged that bullet. And I decided, because I share my life on the internet, to tweet about it, to post about it on Instagram. And I posted on my feed about it on Instagram, basically saying it's so awkward when you run into somebody you haven't seen in a while. And it's so great when you can avoid each other. And I go on about my life. But because sometimes I feel like my life is bizarre, this is what happened next. Right after I posted that, about 3 hours later, very publicly posted that, I went out for another walk with Goofy. And as we're on that walk, all of a sudden, I hear somebody say, "Jenny?" And I look up, and it's two people that I also haven't seen in 15 plus years. These are people that I went on this trip with through school, not with them, but they were on the trip. We were hardly friends, acquaintances, friends on social media, all that jazz. Run into them, and this time I couldn't avoid them. They saw me before I saw them, which is one of the most awkward ways of running into people is when you are completely not prepared, and it is so unexpected. But I run into them, and it was awkward. They came up to me, we were talking, I referenced all the things I had seen about them on social media over the past couple of years, and all I kept thinking was, oh my God, I hope they didn't see my tweet or my Instagram post pretty much bashing running into people after so many years. So that's all I could think about. They eventually actually ended the conversation pretty well. After I was trying to overcompensate and talk about the weather and talk about all of these things, they were like, "Okay, it's great to see you," and kept walking. And I really respect that. But I just have this fear that they saw what I posted and thought it was about them, because how ironic. Anyway, this brings me to my point. What in the world do you do when you run into somebody you haven't seen? For so long, I thought it was the universe's way of telling you, stop and say hello to them. But then I also feel like it's just sometimes so awkward and not worth it. In the end, I think you should do what you feel comfortable with, and you should deal with it on a case-by-case basis. I'll tell you one more quick story, is that many years ago, after I moved to New York City, there was the morning after Halloween. I had gone out for Halloween. I had woken up the next morning, walked to work. I still had this orange lipstick that I got at MAC Cosmetics. I was still wearing the orange lipstick from the day before. I looked like a mess, but I was walking to work. It was a Monday, and I decided to go get a bagel. And as I'm ordering the bagel, I'm waiting for the bagel to get ready, I look to my left, and all of a sudden, I see this guy named Jason, who was my first kiss when I was younger. And I haven't seen him in, by that point, so many years. I don't even think he would recognize me. And there I am wearing orange lipstick. And I saw him, I grabbed the bagel, and I left. I went to work. I get to the front door of my office, and I thought to myself, maybe this was an opportunity to say hello. And maybe after so many years, it was an opportunity to just break the ice and say hi. And who knows, how random was it? Neither of us ever lived in New York when we first met. How random, this random person in a random deli ordering a bagel. I ran back to the deli. I got to work. I ran back to the deli because everything in me told me I had to say hi to him. I get back there and I said, even though I look like a mess, I'm going to say hello. I searched the place high and low and he was not there. And I completely regretted that moment. And I don't know why. It wasn't like I wanted to rekindle something with him. I just felt this urge to just be like, hey, how are you? And he wasn't there and I missed that opportunity. So I think in the end, when we're assessing whether or not to say hi to people from our past that suddenly come back into our lives, all we can think about is this. Do what you feel comfortable doing. And if you're not sure what you feel comfortable doing, walk away, hide in that bush, run in the other direction. And once you do, you might start to feel in your gut what you really wanted to do. And after that, the only thing you can do is hope that that person is still standing there, waiting for you to say hello. All my love, Jen Glantz. Hey you! Thank you for listening to the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast. There are hundreds of thousands of pods out there, so thank you for listening to this one. You can find the show notes for this week's episode up on our website, anyyounger.com. Subscribe, rate, and review the You're Not Getting Any Younger podcast on iTunes so that other ears around the world can listen too. Oh, and join our secret You're Not Getting Any Younger Facebook group, where over 1,000 people are talking about how to disrupt their lives, for good reason, to make it count. Until next week, all my love, Jen Glantz.